What you wanna be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. It is so good to have you with us. My name is Bradley Ball. Thank you so much for joining us. Last week, we had Taryn Pratt, Senior Program Manager for the Azure SQL Virtual Machine Product Group on the show. We talked about learning goals for the new year. Taryn also put out a call to you, dear viewer, to go test and give us feedback on multi-subnet availability groups deployed via the Azure portal. Andreas hosted. Josh won. Josh is our host this week. Congratulations, Josh. Thursday, we had our roundtable where we featured awesome community content. You don't want to miss a minute of those shows. So if this is your first time finding us, please head over to our YouTube page. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. We would love to have you along for the ride. If you want to interact with the show, it is so easy to do so. We are streaming on a bunch of different places. On Twitter, Niraj Jafari, Josh Ludeman, SQL Balls, Tales from the Field, over on LinkedIn under SQL Balls, and of course on our Tales from the Field YouTube channel. If you make a comment on any of those places, one of my amazing co-hosts will see it and they will put it up on the screen and you'll be part of the show. And of course, before we go any further, let me introduce these amazing co-hosts. Andres is running a little bit late, but I promise you, he's going to be here before the end of the show. We are also joined by the amazing Josh Ludeman. And you put Thor's hammer in an elevator. The elevator goes up. Elevator ain't worthy, but you know who is worthy? Your friend and mine, Niraj Jafari. Josh, you're the host. What's the topic?
So first of all, you put Mjolnir on a table. The table can hold Mjolnir. Is the table worthy?
Ooh, I like it.
I don't know.
It's not worthy. I mean, it's just an object, right? We set it down on it.
Yeah, but it's holding it up. Anyways, we could spend an entire episode on Mjolnir and being worthy. Today, though, we're going to talk about something near and dear to my heart, something I've crossed paths with angrily prior in my career, and I know we all have, technical debt, and how do we handle it?
Oh, yeah.
So
that is a good
of
one.
course, with this, we bring to the fold Lonnye to help us with this conversation.
Absolutely. Lonnye, so good that you're here with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here, and it's still in January, so am I still allowed to say Happy New Year?
Absolutely.
Okay, Happy New Year,
Absolutely.
everybody.
And as if it couldn't get any better, right? We have Lonnye Bauer. Lonnye is the global domain lead. I said that better this time, right? Didn't stutter over it the first time like last time. For Azure Fast Track, for the apps team. Lonnye is an absolutely amazing human being. She is legendary for her work in the gaming industry at Bungie and probably Monsters. She's been on the SQL PG. She's been a developer evangelist, an engineer. Lonnye, it is so good to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And yes, near and dear to my heart is our topic as well. I have absolutely crossed paths with it a number of times. Hi, Dan.
That's right. Our good buddy DBA Bulldog over there in the comments. Thank you. Love the shirt this week, Josh. The shirt is worthy. It definitely is.
Yes.
That's a good sell. Josh, you make a good point. I mean, I just want to throw out, if we're moving, we got to go somewhere else. You put Mjolnir in a moving van still moves.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything can keep moving with Mjolnir. I mean, even in Avengers, let's go all the way back to 2012 when Mjolnir dropped in the aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier did not drop out of the sky. It continued to fly. Just saying. The Hulk couldn't pick it up, but the carrier kept flying.
Samuel L. Jackson may be worthy.
We are. You thought you were here for tech. Well, guess what? No.
I'm being
You're here for
schooled
comics.
You're being shortchanged. So before we go too far down to this rabbit hole, Josh, why don't you tell us the rules for today?
So the rules, I would imagine some of our regular viewers are pretty accustomed to them, but for those new or not aware, the way our rules run is we have a subject, Lonnye and myself, since she's our special guest, get to give points out to the others, namely Brad, Niraj, Andres, on their comments on the topic. And at the end of the episode, we'll tabulate all the scores, and the winner gets announced, and they get to host the next week's show. So that is where we're at with that. Is that
the power of the points?
I know. Wow. It's like we've got like
the points.
I want one of those old flip boards in the background that's like tabulating the things manually. Maybe we got to put a punch card in.
Like a train station.
So Andres is negative, right? Just to be clear.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, he got here.
Oh, he knew we were talking about him, and here he comes right into the call on time.
I was gonna say his ears were ringing. I love
wait
that.
a minute. Somebody said negative points. Yeah, no, I need to show up before I get negative points.
Now, to be fair, that wasn't me. I was gonna say, as much as everybody likes to think that there's some massive conspiracy, I had nothing to do with this, Andreas. That was Noel, Niraj, and Josh. Although I don't know that I should blame it on Josh. That doesn't help my chances this week.
Okay, I don't know what you guys were talking about, but here we go.
100 points for Andres.
Oh,
Thank you, Arnie.
ooh, out of the gate.
For coming in
Going
late.
strong.
You get 100
look-
points for coming in late. That's not fair.
I was gonna say, since we were on a Marvel kick earlier, doesn't Andreas look like he's got a little Bruce Banner look going on? I mean, that's definitely like one of those shirts I could see going down the highway, sticking the
Just
thumb out.
ripping open. Yeah.
You know, there you go. Ooh, there we go. All
Whoa,
right.
hey.
Hey, that's a
Okay, I'm
good stuff.
taking 20 points back.
Love it.
Oh, I love the mixed
So,
messages. There we
Andres,
go.
now that you're here just in time, how was your weekend?
The weekend was excellent. We went down to my mom's because we haven't seen her since before Christmas because she got COVID and a bad case of COVID. So then it took over New Year's Eve. But my mom makes the best chicken stew known to man, and it was like a trip down Nap Lane after that stew.
Oh yeah.
There we go. I'm glad your
And
mom is
nap.
okay.
Can't be wrong with the nap.
Definitely.
So let me ask, chicken stew. What's in chicken stew? Because this just my mind's kind of reeling right here.
Okay, the way we make it in Colombia, this is a Colombian recipe. It's called ajiaco. It's chicken with potatoes and with corn in it. You boil it. You put some what else? Some spices in it. But then the end all and be all is when you get served the stew, you put cilantro on top of it. You put chicken, extra chicken. You put avocado in it. You put a little bit of whipped cream, and you put a little bit of capers. Mix it all up. And it just starts to make this Anthony Bourdain, coagulating juice thing that is just amazing.
Did you say whipped cream?
Whipping cream, Lonnie.
Okay.
Heavy
Tiny little
whipping cream, like coffee cream, you mean?
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because
Okay.
I think I was like Lonnye. Lonnye and I were envisioning, coming in with the compressed
The
can
Cool
of cream
Whip,
going, making like a dessert.
I'll post a picture a little bit later. I want to know if you guys have good stews. Please bring them on the show.
No, I'm down.
Stew.
I was going to say I love a good stew. This sounds. I was going to say this sounds incredible. So we're definitely. I need to talk to your mom at some point in time. Get this recipe. We need to have this in our lives. This is good.
I'm going to
stuff.
send you some. I'll send you guys out some. There's a Colombian restaurant in all of Orlando. I will do an Uber Eats one day for you as a prize, and have it
Ooh, I love
shipped.
it.
And have we identified the topic of the week, or is this the reason why we have the topic of the week?
I was going to say it may be why we have the topic of the week.
Okay.
It is technical debt, and we just keep getting distracted. So Lonnye, I was going to say we're going to tap into some of your previous roles today. You've been in leadership. You've been a COO. You've engaged with customers. You've had a host of roles and jobs where you've been able to see a variety of environment. Why don't we start with you? What is technical debt, and how do you address it?
I try not to have it for first first off. Technical debt is when you've got old systems, old workloads running on old hardware, not in the cloud. And addressing it is, what do we do with this? Do we get rid of it? Do we migrate it? Do we modernize it? And I've experienced all of the above as a customer, as well as squirrel, as well as an employee working with customers to address it.
Very nice. So I guess when I think of technical debt, I think of three types, right? I think of a technical debt that occurs because there's some laziness that occurs, right? This is going to be simple, human. We didn't keep up with this, needed to be patched. Things aren't patched to the proper level. Technical debt. Then there's the next level of technical debt, which is typically, you've got a system, and we could call this system old reliable. We built it. It works perfectly. It just runs. But maybe we built it on VB5, and maybe it's running SQL 6.5, and maybe we built it, in the late 90s, the early 2000s, and it just continues to run and continues to run. And before we know it, everybody with the knowledge of that system has left the company. And now we're afraid to touch it because it continues to work, and it has for years. And the further we get away from it, the more expensive it's going to be to actually be able to upgrade. And then the last one would be, just adoption. Maybe it's we haven't adopted newer technologies that can make our lives easier because maybe we didn't have them when we originally wrote the application and we wrote the database. And now there's something that'll work really, really well for us. But to reverse engineer that's going to take a lot of work, and we just don't want to do it. I need to keep things up to date patching, and I don't. The old reliable system that just eventually gets super out of date, and then the not adopting new features because we've already built something, and the reverse engineering is going to cost us something. What do you think about that?
I want to add another category. I've been in a position where I was the only resource in terms of people to be able to manage things. And so when you have fewer resources, you have to prioritize what you are going to work on. And because of that, as a result, a lot of systems will go down the path of, okay, this is an old thing under someone's desk. And I've worked with a customer who had an Access database on a desktop under someone's desk, and it was responsible for making a lot of business decisions.
Wow.
Yeah, I would. Well, to dovetail into this, and I think a lot of our viewers and even us on the phone can attest to this similar issue is I worked for a company where our time clock software for the union manufacturing folks, it was a third-party application. So right there we were told to just leave it because the import was built to pull the data out into the HR software. And every time it would come around the time where they're like, yeah, we should really look at upgrading the time clocks in the software, they're like, no, this works fine. To the point, SQL 2000, I think we all remember that point in time, and it was in the 2000s themselves, like around 2010, I think. 2009 maybe?
2009.
Yeah, where a SQL 2000, basically Microsoft came out and said,
we are not supporting.
There's no more security updates. This is not a secure, viable product. If you're still using it, walk away. So at that point, they were like, oh, crap, now we actually have to handle this. And so while we did the request, the RFP and stuff, took the SQL 2000 SQL server, shoved it on a VMware cluster, not internet accessible anymore, in the back corner, literally on a box that looks like a really big workstation in the back corner of the data center to run the time clocks for a global company. Yeah.
I mean, I got to hand you some points for that.
But I don't even get points because I can't. I'm up
Because he's hosting.
Yeah.
We'll give 50 to Niraj then.
Oh, there we go. Good for you, Niraj. All right.
Very good, Niraj.
So Dan asked, would y'all consider employee laptops and hardware technical debt? I think that's a good question. I think absolutely.
I would.
Because you get to it. Grant, that's a great point, Dan. you get to a point where if your hardware is inoperable and you're asking your employees to make a task, I mean, I know personally, I ended up building a really, really nice computer at home that I'm running all of this off of, that I run the show off of. But it was largely because I got sick of whatever laptop I got just chugging, because there's so much things that need GPUs, and the GPUs and laptops just have not kept up with the demands of whatever software that you have, at least on the Windows side. I can't speak for Mac. I'm not a big Mac user. So
I would consider hardware technical debt if it's in a category of it being outdated in terms of not supported. If it's still supported, then I wouldn't really consider it technical debt unless it were unless you were given, you know, an underperforming set of specs to be able to run a workload that needs a lot more resources. Then it's part of the technical debt for that workload.
agreed.
Yeah, technical debt. I do put laptops in there, but yeah, I think Brad, a lot to what you spoke to of, you know, the increased need of GPUs and the fact that the hardware was where it was at. Eventually you just it was really quick, especially within the last, I would say 3-4 years, to really, you know, the use of the GPUs have outpaced what was expected when that hardware was purchased. So yeah.
I think we can all think of horror stories, right? Like I remember a system at a company that I once worked at that processed $32 million worth of work for the company a day. And it was running on VB5 for the app with .NET 6.5 as the database backend. I'm sorry, SQL 6.5. And I remember I was talking to one of the DBAs when I was there, and I said, hey, so if you're on call and you get a call for this, what's the game plan? And he goes, yeah. Pray that you're not on call when the call comes in for the system. Because I went, so I assume we're building a new system to take this system's place, right? Nope. Really? Because I at that point in time, I'm like, $32 million a day. There's got to be an easy justification to be able to build, replace, even if it costs a lot of money. Nope, not working on anything. If it breaks, it breaks. And I'm like, ooh, that's not good. That's really bad.
That's a good point, Brad. In terms of addressing technical debt, I think a lot of companies talk about it, or there's rumors about technical debt, and they're afraid to approach it. And the concerns are, oh, it's going to cost so money. It costs so much money. And in a lot of cases, it actually saves a company money by addressing it, because you could take workloads that no one's even using anymore, and you're paying for a license, or you're paying for multiple licenses for that. And by migrating that or getting rid of it, then you no longer have that. And so you end up saving money.
Yeah. Or extended support, right? And I do remember when there was a project to be able to get rid of that. I mean, it was in the millions, because the first step was they had to convert the 5.0 VB.NET to 6.0. And then there was an automated tool they could use to upgrade that to .NET Framework 1.1. Then there was an easier pathway that they could take that application and migrate from there. But it was going to take like 2.5 years worth of work to be able to get it on the latest and greatest. And it was just one of those things where it's like, there's a natural evolution of things. And often I think we are looking at things like we're plugging holes in a dam that's leaking water, right? And it's like, I've only got so many hands available and fingers for us to be able to fit for the plugs. And if it's not a problem, it moves on and on and on. And then eventually it just catches steam. It becomes a huge problem.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, with technical debt conversations, that's one of the things I remind folks of in that conversation. Technical debt is a lot like real debt. The longer you put off to pay it, the more expensive it's going to be. So if you're looking at what I'm telling you now, and it's going to take 2 years to fix, and you think it's bad now, down the road, it's going to be 3 or 4 years to fix, and even more, software time, cost incurred to fix it. So yeah, it's like regular debt. Sorry, Lonnye.
You're fine. I was going to say Brad should get 50 points just for going through that experience. And I'm actually keeping score here. the other thing is, I think companies should address it constantly. It shouldn't be a conversation that's had once a year or twice a year. It should be something that is always addressed. And anything that is new, so if you're deploying something new, don't deploy it in old ways. So if you're saying, okay, we're going to start addressing technical debt, if you have a new workload, don't do it the way you used to do it. Do it so that you can easily address any needs as workloads change and needs change in the business.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with that. So Josh, I guess as we look at it, we're about 10 minutes from our typical scheduled endpoint. Do we want to start with going around to folks?
Yeah, I was going to actually take this opportunity to toss it over to Niraj first
Sure.
to see what he had around technical debt.
Sure. So let me just share a quick thing. This is what I think is technical debt. Can you guys see? Oh, come on. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, see your YouTube.
Yep.
No, thanks. We're busy.
Yep. So this is exactly what I used to tell when in my previous company, when I used to work it up. What is technical debt, right? I mean, there are multiple things. I mean, everybody has gone through the technical debt, right? I mean, an old server or old software or something like that. But what really causes and what we came up with at that time was a couple of points or a couple of buckets. What causes the technical debt, right? One is the pressure, right? Pressure to get things done, get new technology in that, and you forget about the old softwares, old things, and all of them. Second thing is insufficient testing, right? You throw out the code or you throw out something into production where you have not tested it completely, and then it start building it up, and you cause a major issue at that point of time. Documentation. A person leaves, you end up into issues where you don't have documentation and you have no idea how to solve that up, and then you end up into more technical debt at that point of time. Lack of collaboration, right? I mean, you are not collaborating with each other, and then that causes a lot of issues on it. And then business decision. Oh, management wants everything to be done yesterday. Things we don't have the right tools, right people to do it, and then it causes a lot of business decisions. Takes a lot of toll on technical debts. And then team issues, right? I mean, if the team is not in the right track, people do get a lot of technical debts at the end of the day. So I think that are the 6 buckets that I used to put it up, saying this is what may cause you the technical debt, and you should definitely address it up. I mean, there are multiple ways to address it up. We used to have like weekly or monthly meetings just to see what we have and when we are going to put down some deadlines on it, saying this is how we are going to resolve it out. Particularly old softwares, old hardwares is something that you definitely need to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff, Niraj.
What do you think, Lonnye?
Oh, I've seen a lot of things. I mean, it ranges. I've had in one position where I was responsible for all of the SQL servers for the studio, as well as for a particular game that I worked on. I was handed a ton of workloads, and it just became overwhelming. And with such a small team, like, what do we address first? And so I put them in 3 buckets. I put it in a business critical bucket, a not business critical bucket, and then what are we getting rid of bucket. And the first thing I would want to do is do a security review of all 3 buckets, just to make sure we're protected, we being whatever company it is, and address those, and then address the business critical, and then take the non-business critical, and then either move the other over or just get rid of them.
Yep.
It's really easy to shut things off that are not business critical and see if anybody complains. And if nobody complains, nobody's using it. And the longer it stays off, the more you're proving that it's not a workload that really requires any kind of support.
I'm personally looking at Niraj going 100 bonus points for visualizations. He came in with the cartoon, dropped it in there. Love that.
Fair.
Now I see Andres looking over at his screen like, okay, I gotta find something real quick. But Andres, what do you got for me, buddy?
Well, first of all, I think Niraj is suspect because I think he wrote a paper on this a long time ago. You're suspect. So, because there's too much goodies.
Don't tell me that, because if he does have a paper and he posts it online, I'll actually give him bonus points for the link. So, but go ahead.
Are you going to night school again, dude? Stop it. For technical debt, it's all the junk you have in your back closet. That's my definition. That either has redundancy or duplication. Now, how do I address it? There's DevOps, and I look at it from the standpoint of code because I lived in that world for a while. What can we do? There's gatekeepers in DevOps that we can do Sonos to make sure that you're writing everything using interfaces at a code level. Interfaces help us with being able to do dependency injection, better test actually better with interfaces. You can write, you can develop in parallel with interfaces. So back to the DevOps thing, DevOps not only allows us to add in our pipelines when we check in code, gates that will check the code for redundancies, for hard code, people who hard code stuff, for not using best practices when it comes to code. And then the last thing I want to say about DevOps, it's that it's a cultural change. It forces a cultural change internally to make sure that those gates are imposed on people. People do code reviews, people do checks on each other and make sure that the best practices are being used and leveraged and not baking into the cake stuff that will just add weight later on. That's my 2 cents. Not as good as Niraj's, but I think it's pretty hardy. Come on, give me some points.
I think it was worth 50.
I'm good with that.
All right, 50 points. Not bad,
I'll
Andres.
Great, Sean. So moving to Azure is one of your solutions for technical debt. Just a thought. If you go to
that,
right?
Moving to
if
Azure, you can move the, implementing implementing DevOps is the solution to technical debt.
Yeah, that's what I think.
It's a cultural change.
Cultural change. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it looks like we have another question. Am I allowed to bring that up? Can I give Dan some points for asking really great questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Dan deserves it.
So Dan wants to know, where should technical debt conversations land, and how do corporations and small companies keep this conversation in the forefront so that the debt is kept at a minimum? My recommendation and my advice to anyone listening is, no matter what your role is in a company, that you facilitate conversations around it. And if you own something, if you're accountable for a workload, that you consider that at all times so that you don't end up in a position where you have a ton of technical debt.
Agreed. Yeah.
Nice.
And there's one of the things I would say is, often businesses will create a business critical failover plan, a redundancy to be able to operate. They will either on a quarterly or a yearly basis walk through that. Lonnye, I love the concept that you said about reviewing that. They should have a yearly review of these systems and go, do we, and you should specifically be looking for and flagging, do we have technical debt associated with this? And what is the plan to be able to alleviate that debt?
I will even one up you, well, not one up you, but one up that to say, not only should you review it, you should implement it. So if you have a DR plan, you should take time and actually do an exercise to make sure things can fail over as expected. Because the last thing you want is an emergency to happen and your expectation that everything can fail over and everything will still run, and you've not tested it, and then you try and fail over and nothing happens.
Oh, I completely agree. I've had a lot of scenarios where we've had to fail over to Coop DR locations in my life, and having a test where we could do that and we could execute that with confidence, and then also having the documentation in place, because when stuff happens, it's going to catch you from out of left field. Especially what I like to tell folks is, and I say this all the time to our colleagues, you can't engineer the humanity out of a disaster. When a disaster occurs, manual human intervention is going to come into play at some point in time. We should plan for those people to be there. And we also need to understand specifically the context in which that we're going to need those people to be there, because you may need people to, handle the DDR, but then you're going to need probably some analysts, some super users, some power users to make sure the system is up and running. As far as animated slides to be able to compete with the Niraj, I got nothing.
I don't know if that's nothing. I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's what do you think, Lonnie? Another, is that 25 points, 50
I was just going to
points?
say 25. I thought you were going to go 50. I'm like, no, 25.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was I wanted to go 50. I really did, but I feel like there was no major offer of substance there. Sorry.
I mean,
There
he's got
was-
nothing.
I do. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's Niraj. I mean, we've already established at the front, Niraj is worthy.
Yeah, I'm surprised the hammer's not already there with him
For the
instead of with me.
adversary.
We need one on your side, Niraj, so I could just be like, here you go,
Bang.
and throw it, and you can catch it.
I want to throw one other thing out there really quick. I know we're coming to the end. Something a little outside the box is not really technical. However, technical debt can actually impact a business, the perception of a business. So if you don't address technical debt and something happens, and we recently had something in the news where a specific airline was having issues, and I'm not going to name them. However, if you have technical debt and something critical happens to your business and things are down for an extended period of time that impact people, you're going to have a lot of customers who no longer want to be your customer.
Well, and to be fair, sometimes you don't have a choice in the customer matter when it comes to the FAA, right? And I remember reading after the system was down for the FAA that caused all those travel backups and all those issues. One of the things that I think it was the director of the FAA said, yeah, we'd been wanting to upgrade the system for quite some time and had been put off and put off and put off. And I imagine that this event is going to generate the funding we need to finally be able to afford that upgrade. And I went, yep, there you go. Because ailing infrastructure is not just physical infrastructure. It can be code. It can be data. It can be the system and the hardware that you're running on. And the whole situation with the FAA was apparently a perfect example of what happens with a critical system that has been running just fine for forever and has not been upgraded like it should be. I'll at least call out the government on that one, but you're right. I won't go too hard on the carrier.
25 points for throwing the government under the bus.
Yeah. There we go.
There you go.
No comment on that one for me.
All right. And I guess with that, Josh, you got to do some tallying here. I'm curious to see who won this time around.
So I keep looking to the right or to my, well, looks like to everybody else. It's to my right, to the left, whatever. Because I'm talking with Lonnye in the side about point tabulation because I was going to start keeping track. And Lonnye goes, I'm keeping track. I'm like, well, okay, done with that. So Lonnye, why don't you go ahead and unveil third, second, then first?
Okay, so we may have an issue. I don't know if this has happened before. So in third place, we've got Brad with 100 points. And what we didn't hear that I should have stated is I've given Andreas another 20 points because he had really great responses to the conversation. And so in second and in first, we have a tie. We have a tie between Andreas and Niraj. So I don't know what
Lightning round right now.
Okay, I don't know what to do. I mean, do you like Friends, the show? Because I can start asking Friends trivia.
I was going to say, if it's okay, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this exact situation.
Okay, I'm going to
ready?
sit back and enjoy it. I'm going to go get my popcorn.
Okay, so speaking of, guys, this is going to be a lightning round. You got a minute to 30 seconds. That's all the time that you got. Best French fry. What fast food restaurant makes the best French fry?
Five Guys.
McDonald's.
Oh, hold on a second. I mean, I expected more discussion. You just said,
You said 5 seconds. You said 5 seconds. I gave it.
I was going to say, why Five Guys? Tell me about the Five Guys French fry.
I mean, some of I like the French fries with Five Guys just because it's something different, right? I mean, when you go up there and the way they make it up, fresh and new, that makes me really like the fries from Five Guys. Sorry.
Yeah, they have that special tool to be able to cut up the potatoes right there, nothing but peanut oil. And then the generosity of Five Guys. Come on. The generosity.
That's one of the other things that
they're like, oh, we filled this up, and then here's a little bit more for your
extra
bag.
more. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's some good stuff. And Andres, okay, so you were saying McDonald's. Give me the argument for McDonald's.
Crispy if they come out and you get them right at the point they come out. If they leave them sitting around, well, you're in for a bad batch. But overall, taste test, 9 out of 10 dentists approve. Okay.
You know, I got to tell you, McDonald's fries, fresh out. And here's the key, fresh out like crack, right? Oh my God. So good. You're not having just one. You're going to go through the entire thing before you get home. And that smell in the car is infectious. However, McDonald's fries, if they get cold, on the ride home, they decline so hard, so fast.
Yeah.
I was going to say McDonald's is definitely close, near and dear in my heart, but I'm going to give it to Five Guys. Niraj, you win.
Thank
I
you.
would agree with that. Congrats, Niraj.
It's got to be Five Guys. For me, because here's the thing that cuts the gap for me: Cajun. They've got Cajun at Five Guys, and the vinegar, the malt vinegar.
Ooh.
Why do I have so much trouble losing weight again? I think we understand now.
Yeah, it's because we go to lunch together occasionally, and then I end up getting malt vinegar and taking us to Five Guys.
Yeah, those Cajun fries are so good. Okay, so Josh, you're the host. Do you agree with that?
No, I do. That's where I was leaning as well, because honestly, I was with you, Andres, until you said 9 out of 10 dentists approve McDonald's French fries. And I'm like, no dentist in his right mind is going to say, you know what? You get French fries, because that is the way to go. Not even one. I think you had it backwards. I think there might have been one guy, and he was probably drunk when he did the study. Anyway, continue.
I got to tell you, the next time I'm at my dentist, I'm going to ask, what do you think of French fries? Who's the best? McDonald's, Five Guys? Where were they in?
I heard 9 out of 10 dentists approve McDonald's French fries. I want to know which are you in?
In the bizarro world as well.
Nice.
Dan, also a fan of the Cajun fries. They are solid. You're not wrong. There we go. That's a great one. Okay, so I guess on to the reminders. Niraj is our winner. Congratulations, Niraj. Way to go, buddy. Started out by pointing out you're worthy, and you are worthy indeed. Would you like to say anything about your win?
Thank you, Lonnye, and thank you, Josh. And Five Guys, probably. I should thank Five Guys.
Let's go get some burgers and fries. All right. As a quick reminder, Thursday we have our roundtable, the call for content. Make sure and go out there and hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on LinkedIn. If you have a blog, if you have a video, if you're writing, we want to know about it. We will get you in there. Sequel Bits, Tales from the Field is going to be at Sequel Bits. I've got applications at Sequel Bits. Remember, Sequel Bits is at Wells. But it's also going to be online. So it is a separate event. So you can attend this online as well. Patrick LeBlanc and I will be talking about the most powerful Azure service that you've never heard of. And then we will also, I've got another session where I'm going to be talking about how soft skills eat tech skills for breakfast.
That was a good one.
Breakfast is also good.
Yep.
All right. Anything else I'm forgetting, guys?
No, I think that's it. And I'm not forgetting anything either, because in the background, the music is running. I'm just keeping it down not to drown people out. So,
there we go. I figured you'd get that cue.
No,
Reminder.
I got it. I've been messing with it the whole time you've been talking. And yeah.
All right. Lonnye, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.